It's just is what it
Okay,
is.
guys, here we go. This time I'd like to call to order the 14 April 2025 Jackson County Commission meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody here. We have a number of items on our new business portion of the meeting. And a couple items to discuss in our work session portion of the meeting. At this time, if Mr. Hamrick, our county administrator, would please call the roll to establish the board.
Commissioner Gully, Commissioner Kimber,
Here.
Commissioner Bruckner,
Present.
Commissioner McBride.
Here. We do have a quorum. If we would all stand, like to ask, Mr. Attorney Officer to lead our pledge of allegiance.
Well, God, our Father in heaven, we are always reminded this time of year of your glory and your might, your power, and also the wonderful blooms that come around us. So God, we're just thankful for your world, thankful for the blessings that you give us each and every day and this beautiful community. We're thankful for the people of this county and those that serve us on a regular basis. This time of year, God, we're also mindful of the time of the year it is and as we approach Easter and celebrate the risen Christ. So God, we're thankful for all these blessings. I pray you watch over us and guide us in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In your packet is the agenda for tonight's meeting. Give you a minute to look at that. Do I have a motion to approve the 14 April 2025 Jackson County Commission meeting? Motion. We have a motion, have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. I don't think we have any boards of presentations tonight. I think we did have a. We would, the podium there. I'll ask you just a couple of questions for the record. If you would state your full name, please.
Michael Argo,
Your address.
392 Holiday Shore Drive.
Okay, and are you speaking for yourself or?
Yeah,
Okay.
I came in here on the 10th, March 10th, about the drainage on my new property. It's just coming down the roads, ditches are full, have never been cleaned out, and it's just coming down the road instead of the ditch and flooding my new property. So I told I was gonna y'all are gonna take a week or so and get back with us, and I haven't heard nothing. So
And we will, and I will apologize. I have not had the opportunity to get out there, and I will ask our county engineer to be out there with us.
because
Take a look at that.
it's just why I'm doing dirt work for my new house, and I can't, every time it rains, it just washes it all back out.
Okay,
Because it's not going in the ditches or anything.
okay.
So, I mean, I'm kind of staying still.
Can we try to be out there Thursday and take a look? We'll be out there Thursday. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay, with that, we'll move into the new business portion of the meeting. And first item is we have the minutes from the March the 24th, 25 meeting and work session. I'll give you a minute to take a look at that and with that, do I have a motion to adopt the minutes from the March 24th, 2025 meeting and work session? We have a motion. Have a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. If I could, I'm gonna back up with one comment. If you'll give me your phone number when we head out your way, I'll give you a call and we'll reach out there. Okay? I appreciate that. Okay, thank you. Next item on the new business agenda is motion to approve the final proclamation for America 250. If you remember, Mr. Olson came and talked to us a couple weeks ago about the proclamation. Did get a letter from the Senator Orr, who is chair of the Alabama USA Semi-Quincentennial Commission. And as a part of Alabama's commemoration of America's semi-quincentennial, they're asking county and municipal governments to incorporate a ceremonial reading of either the governor's proclamation or for us to adopt our own local version that is based on the model they provided. We have adopted a resolution for the commission of support. This effort is to recognize our 250th America's birthday. And so starting a year out, recognizing the coming of our birthday. So in the packet is the resolution. And I will read the resolution for the record. It is a proclamation, rather. This is by the commissioners of the county of Jackson County. Whereas the state of Alabama and Jackson County recognize the importance of honoring and commemorating the 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation. And whereas the events of 1775 that began the revolution the year before independence was declared are significant moments that signal the creation of a national identity and unity of purpose that transcends national, geographic, cultural, and societal divides. And whereas on the evening of April the 18th, 1775, with impending hostile actions from the British Army in Boston, Massachusetts, Paul Revere and William Dawes, along with other alarm riders, undertook a perilous ride to alert everyone in the countryside of the coming danger. And whereas preceding their departure from Boston, a prearranged signal was set in the Old North Church steeple to ensure that the message got out and did not solely rely on just one or two alarm riders. And whereas the two lanterns that were the signals were immortalized in Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem, Paul Revere's Ride, as one if by land and two if by sea, and have become an enduring symbol of American vigilance, perseverance, and preparedness in the face of adversity. And whereas we were reminded 250 years later, we are reminded 250 years later that the call for unity and the call to serve each other is no less relevant today than it was then. And whereas a national initiative has been proposed by the United States Semi-Quincentennial Commission that two lights be displayed in public spaces across the country for all to see, marking the significant anniversary in April 2025 and the beginning of the 250th anniversary commemorations leading up to the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 2026. And whereas that state of Alabama and Jackson County support and encourage community events that promote patriotism, unity, and reflection of our shared history. Now, therefore, the Jackson County Commission does hereby endorse the national initiative and proclaim Friday, April the 18th, 2025 as Two Lights for Tomorrow Day in Jackson County, Alabama, and encourage reflection on the idea that all these historic events were endeavoring toward one common goal, the chance to embrace our God-given rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. With that, do I have a motion to approve and sign the proclamation for America 250?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, have a second. We have a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item in new business, We have a motion to approve budget amendment for general fund for funding support. We've had several meetings and work session to discuss the setting up a fund that we could use to support organizations that are working towards the public trust and public support of Jackson County. We have discussed setting up a fund as a part of our general fund of about $50,000, and also establishing a form that can be used for organizations that wish to apply and fill out. And with that, also a table that allows us to grade and evaluate each request for funding support. The commission agreed that the process would be to get this form out in the notice for a period of time with a closure date, that those that wish to apply would have an end date to apply, and then we would go through an evaluation process to determine those that would be chosen to receive funding support. With that, let me turn it over to Mr. Hamrick, our county administrator. Any further comment?
I just asked that if you guys proceed with this, to go ahead and set that time frame that you want these applications to be submitted to the commission, so that we can get everything together and advertisements go out on Facebook.
Okay. And the motion is to establish a $50,000 budget line item in our general fund to support this effort. And this is for this, initially, this is for this year's.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that, do I have a motion to approve a budget amendment for a general fund to support funding support?
On the timeline.
We will establish and advertise the timeline when we put the notice out. But that's a good question. I would propose to you that the timeline should be 1 year. That gives about 6 weeks for people to get an opportunity to review and get their applications in for us to start. Any discussion of that?
I mean, I was hoping it'd be at least 4 weeks or more, so that date works for me.
Okay.
Is June a good opportunity to, I mean, as far as management?
Okay. That would then give us time to go through an evaluation process. The recommendation of the commission was that a group would pare down an initial review to a smaller set and bring before the commission, and ask then the applicants to come before the commission to discuss with them their request for funding. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment for $50,000 in general fund budget for funding support?
I'll make that motion with the amendment of the deadline date in June 1.
Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
No.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is we have an annual contract that we do every year when we talk of Alabama Regional Council of Government in support of our Council of Aging. This is for the state health insurance program. The contract that they're requesting us to approve, I think it's in your packet. Key features of that, it is a contract that would be effective first day of April 2025, and it's between Top of Alabama Regional Council of Government and the Jackson County Commission. The purpose of the contract is to maintain the existing insurance and benefit counseling program known as the State Health Insurance Program, referred to as SHIP. The contractor, us, will be part of TARCOG's effort to strengthen its capability to provide all Medicare eligible individuals information, counseling, and assistance on health insurance matters in order to assist our seniors and disabled individuals with health-related situations. The period of performance is 1 April 2025 to 31 March 2026. And back for the conditions of the contract. This is an annual agreement that we sign, and let me turn it over to Director Coleman for any other comments.
And that also allows us to receive $5,000 to help fund the program as well.
Okay, with that, do I have a motion to approve and sign contract with Tarcott for Council of Aging State Health Insurance Program? We have a motion, have a second?
I second that.
We have a second, any questions? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries, thank you. In your packet is a resolution that we did discuss at our last meeting. It is for solid waste officer. This resolution states that is Jackson County previously established a mandatory solid waste collection system within the jurisdictional limits of Jackson County. The Commission of Jackson County has determined that certain changes are necessary in order to make the system more efficient and manageable. Therefore, the Commission at our meeting today as follows, states as follows. The Jackson County Solid Waste Director is appointed by the Commission shall continue to serve as the Jackson County Solid Waste Office. The Solid Waste Officer will have the authority to appoint a committee of 3 employees from the Solid Waste Department to provide assistance to review all applications for exemption. And under the supervision of and as directed and approved by the Jackson County Commission acting through the Commission Chairman, and to the extent allowed by law, an incorporation of the State Health Department, the Solid Waste Officer shall have the authority and responsibility for enforcing all laws and regulations related to the solid waste disposal system in Jackson County. The Jackson County Solid Waste Officer is hereby appointed as a designated process server to serve all citations and other documents as may from time to time be required to be served in order to enforce the solid waste ordinance and the solid waste laws of the state of Alabama. Do I have a motion to approve and sign the resolution for the Jackson County Solid Waste Officer? I'll make the motion. We have a motion, have a second? Second. We have a second. Any question? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is to approve new office hours for the Solid Waste Department. I would ask that before we take the motion, I had asked the question before of looking at, would you consider some adjustments to those hours? So let me turn it over to the record for comment.
Yes, sir. We went back and looked and talked about backing it up even an hour and doing 6 to 3. I mean 7 to 3. But that leaves us an hour in the meantime with nobody there at the office to answer phones or talk to the drivers, because the drivers will still come in at 6 or start at 6. We can't have them come in any later because we're already having trouble getting to the landfill at the time. We talked about staggering it, having some come in at 6 and some come in at 7. But with a limited office staff, you run into vacation, stuff like that. I think it would just be easier just to do the 6 to 2.
Can I ask if there are any questions regarding that?
Well, this, is that like a precedent where other departments will want to adjust their times?
Of the issue of that, I think that becomes our decision for the departments as well. But I think most departments have a set time. I know Public Works has a 10-hour day, 4 days a week for their.
What's the driving force for doing this? What is your?
So before we got the time clock system, and I'm not knocking the time clock system, we kind of just filtered in, if they'd have to work over, somebody comes in. I didn't realize how much we had to do at the end of the day. We've got 3 kills. Then also our software system, we've got to close it. We got to run a report, and then we got to take the deposit to the bank. So
how we've always done it in the past is if they worked over 30 minutes, it's the next day, they just take a 30-minute longer lunch. So we can still do that with the time clock system, but it's just a little bit more to do. So that, again, I didn't realize how much the ladies was doing in the office. Just shut down the office,
What are your current hours?
6 to 2:30, Monday through Friday. And my recommendation is 6 to 2. Office hours will still work from 6 to 2:30. We'll just be taking phone calls and doing the daily routines, closing the office. And we have a drop box.
Right now, you're doing that follow-up of the day's work after 2:30?
Okay. So I guess my question is your customer flow, people that come to the office. I don't think Johnny Citizen's gonna be coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning. What's your average flow of when people come in? Is it more later toward the day, or is it midday, or how does that work?
I'd say our biggest is probably around lunchtime. A lot of people, take off. And that's what I'm assuming. But usually from 10 to 1 is probably our busiest time of the day. But with customers coming in.
I very much understand the drivers coming in at 6 o'clock. I know they've got some pre-trip stuff they've got to do and get out as early as possible. So that they can get done to get back in time. To Mr. Gully's point, if we're not serving customers during that time, what do you foresee is happening in this early time that necessitates people being here?
Like a full office staff.
Yeah. So they're still gonna do their daily stuff. So instead of waiting until 2:30 to, hey, okay, let's close our tills and count everything. At 2 o'clock, we close the doors, they can start that then. And then we can leave somebody on the phone, still answering the phone calls from 2 to 2:30 because the phones stay busy. And then we can still do a report from 2 to 2:30. We have a drop box, they can bring anything in. All of our stuff's on the county commission's page, thanks to Ross. We have a Facebook page, so you can get any documentation you need.
An issue with closing, limiting the customer service. What people are creatures of habit. Anytime you reduce your hour of service to folks, it's they generally don't like it.
Is your office staff on an 8-hour day?
Yes, sir.
6 to 2 when they eat lunch?
Well, we're still working 6 to 2:30.
No, but you said you want to change it to 2, is that right?
I'm just office hours, not the employee hours, just the office.
The
hours.
employees will still work the same. Do is they work 6 to 2:30, but from 2 to 2:30, they're going to close and allow them to.
I mean, we've looked at right now, we don't close, and I'm glad you said that, Mr. Gully. We don't close our office for lunch right now. Upstairs does. So we're open to the customers during lunch hours. So this is just a way for us to get everything took care of at the end of the day, or we're not having to work over.
How often would you say that people are working over in a week? Every day?
Probably every day.
Is it the whole staff working over, or do you have one designated person to do the tills and accounting?
So each person has their own tool. We don't switch.
Okay.
Yeah. We have 3 tills. We have three employees that has each till.
Okay, any other questions? So we do have a motion to approve the new office hours for solid waste department. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Okay, we have 3 yeas and 1. Okay, thank you very much. Next item, again, for Director Skipper, we do have a motion to approve the purchase and installation of camera on the solid waste garbage trucks. Our last meeting, we asked Director Skipper to get a firm proposed price in your packet. There's a sheet that's from total third small pack hardware costs. So let me turn it over to discuss.
Yes, sir. So y'all should have a sheet, looks like this. This is an updated sheet from last time. This is the exact, yes. Should be a total of $49,245.22 on the left side. So that'll be the upfront cost for the hardware. And then on the right side, you just see a highlighted area of $661.50. That'll be the monthly costs after that. The only thing that I didn't add to it is the tablets. We will have to purchase tablets for each truck, and they made a recommendation. They're about the ones on Amazon are $552, so we'll have to buy 7 of those. So that'll equal to about plus $4,000 additional to that for the tablets. $3,865.82 to be exact.
So our annual cost is going to be $7,938. And what's the third item in cost?
Third item is going to be the tablets to put in the trucks.
It's 3,000 up front.
How much is that? 4,000.
Just under 53. Just under 53.
Yes.
Okay.
And you said, I'm sorry, you said some of our trucks have already got some of this equipment.
Yeah, so you can see on this, on the breakdown, like 202, you can see the subtotal. It's $1,207.72. So that's a truck that's got pretty much everything, but the mount that holds the tablet and the software system.
So as you rotate these trucks out you're trying to be on how many year rotation?
3.
3 year rotation. So what kind of upfront costs do you see? Are you going to order them with the integrated software or something that?
Yeah, so the last truck that we ordered was truck 202. So that's a truck that we haven't received yet. So everything come with it but that RAM mount. So just going forward, I'll add that to it as well. So all we'll have to do is take the tablet out, put it into the system, which again, this will increase our value in the truck because more people's going towards it.
But as we rotate out, we won't have this $57,000 upfront cost.
Correct.
Okay.
Just to be fair, is that a cost that will be increased to the truck because of the service, or is this something that comes standard on the truck?
You're talking about when we sell it?
No, the next one you purchase, the next one you purchase, will it come equipped, or will we have
It'll come equipped. When we purchase the next truck, it'll have all this ready to go. We'll even install the RAM mount.
But what I'm asking is, will that be an item on there that will say
Yeah.
plus?
Yes, sir.
This plus, okay. So this will be an ongoing.
Unless we took the camera out of our old, or we sold it up and bring it back. Truck down.
You got a hardwired interface.
Yeah.
The question for me is not a question. Having taken a look at this service and what you get with this, it does provide a very strong degree of protection for us, some liability. It provides information, visual information, whenever there is challenges that we miss pickups and we get there and there's no garbage can out, or if there's an accident, we have visual damage or documentation of the condition. So there's a significant benefit for us to having installation of cameras on these trucks. That's my belief.
I would be surprised if there wasn't an insurance deduction because you've got a camera on the driver, so I could see where that would be something we need to look into.
Okay, any other questions?
The only thing I was gonna add was, Mr. Hamrick, mentioned it to me. This is on Sourcewell, so we will not have to bid it out.
I'm a firm believer in cameras.
Yeah.
I've got my own team. It's in accidents, it's cost there. And with this would be, invaluable for them with their cans and their pickups and safety and on a lot of other levels. It's just an expensive upfront cost compared to normal trucking camera systems. But not accustomed to.
So the name of the firm that we're purchasing from?
The Ingram equipment.
For the dealership.
Yes, Ingram Equipment.
Equipment.
They sell the Third Eye system.
So do I have a motion to approve the purchase and installation of cameras from solid waste garbage trucks from Ingram Equipment? We have a motion, have a second. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next item, Director again, we have a need to replace and repair a roof on the Public Works building.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. In your packet, we have two quotes. I had three lined up, but the last contractor kind of fell through. They weren't able to get me a quote in time for the meeting. So these are the two I have to present before you. I'll go with the more local, which is Laurel Roofing first. They're out of here in Scottsboro in this county, so if you will go to, I think I put it on. Yeah, I put it on the last page for everyone to kind of get an idea of the actual quote price and everything. So for the
Integrity is the next to last page. And what we do.
it'll be Carol Roofing. Carol Roofing is the first one that goes. It'll look like this right here.
Okay. That's a fact, a little different.
Yeah, the other one's Integrity.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, we're opting to go with the TPO, thermoplastic, polyolefin, roof on the flat roof and also fixing the metal roof part that's over the lobby in there. Terrell's price, Terrell Roofing's price for the TPO is $36,900. And for the lobby where the roof leak is, the repairs and replacement of metal up there, for them is $1,500. And I do want to say that both, all the products, this is an apples to apples, quote for both of them. All the products are the same. There's product specs in there. They're just different names. It's different name brand. You'll have a different name brand. They both have the same warranties and all that. I'm going to move to the price page on Integrity, which will be the second to last page on Integrity. The Integrity Roofing Solutions is out of Brainsville. Their office is out of Brainsville, Alabama. For the Polymat 20-year TPO system is $22,698.08. And they put in the details that they were doing on the roof. Their standing seam system for the gable roof, remove and replace the hidden fastener system. It's got a 10-year warranty on that. It's $3,957.22. Total price for Integrity is $26,655.30. And total price for Terrell Roofing is $38,400. Again, these quotes are apples to apples as far as the materials being used, except for name brands. They carry the same warranty for both amounts of work being done. One, Terrell Roofing is in Scottsboro. It's a local contractor, and Integrity is out of Brainsville.
Any further questions? Your recommendation?
much as I would like to go local on this, the price difference doesn't fall within the 15%. Want to go for as far as being over. My recommendation would be to go with Integrity Roofing Solutions, just for the price and the product that we're getting. I think it's gonna be really good. Warranties are the same, everything works out the same for them, so. Both of these also include fixing that roofing system so that it's not pouring water in those areas it's currently pouring into as well, so.
So it's at least coming to the edge.
Yes, everything's gonna be run out to the drip edge. of the-
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the replacement and repair of roof on the office building at Public Works in Iowa State? With contract with Integrity Roofing Solutions. Okay, John? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll say all the time.
Lowest bidder.
Say that again.
I make a motion to go with the lowest bidder.
Okay, so that would be Integrity.
Okay, yes.
Okay,
And I'll second it.
we have a motion, have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Watch it around there.
So Matthew, if you would just add my name, the contact details. Next, we discussed at our last meeting, our Board of Registrars right now is paid by the state at $80 per day. Our neighboring counties are supplementing that pay, some for $25 per day and some $30 per day. Our Board of Registrars has asked us to consider supplementing their pay daily rate with $25, raising the rate to $105 per day. Now, we talked in the last meeting that that would, the total cost would be, if I remember right, was near
$15,525 if they utilized every day that they can get.
would be the cost to us. And that would be a general fund expense.
And that's for all three of them.
That's so.
Okay. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the supplemental pay for the Board of Registrars of $25 per day?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is discussion. We had discussion at our previous meeting about the cemetery on County Road 42. They have requested some assistance with that. I think they have a circular drive that's in there that needs some assistance. But to do that, we would have to make that designated an active public cemetery and add it to the active public cemeteries list. The motion we need to have to affect that is a motion to add the cemetery on County Road 42 to the active public cemetery list. Let me ask our county engineer, Mr. Campbell, any further comments from last meeting?
Thank you, Chairman. I would just like to add for the record that we are discussing Old Baptist Cemetery. So if that could be included in the record.
Say that again, please.
Old Baptist Cemetery, the name of the cemetery be included in the record, please.
Okay. Old Baptist?
Yes, sir.
With this
I'm sorry?
cemetery being as old as it is, yes, sir, so bad. How's it not an active cemetery on the record? It's never been?
We have, I think I mentioned this when it was previously discussed. We have one record of maintenance activity, and that was at the correct request of the then commission chairperson. had requested gravel be delivered. And so the notes in that work that was performed said, scrap gravel taken from yard and delivered to cemetery. So that was the only record of maintenance that we had.
I just know the board for that cemetery reached out to me. It's been a while, so
Very old cemetery.
it is, but it is active.
It is active cemetery.
So for us to do any work on the cemetery, we do have to have it on the, active public cemetery list.
That's correct.
So do I have a motion to add the Old Baptist Cemetery on County Road 42 to the active public cemetery list?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. That concludes the last item in our new business portion of the meeting. We do have 3 items in our work session portion. First is we have received, it's under commission, and I'm really going to turn this over to our county attorney, Mr. Porter. We have received a request to vacate the road at the end of County Road 175. So John, if I could turn this over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did receive a written request from Shadow Lawn Farms LLC, vacate that portion of public road, the end of County Road 175 near Graves Chapel to the Alabama-Tennessee state line. And this is in accordance with the Alabama code that allows for the vacation of public roads. An issue I asked Mr. Campbell's assistance in plotting this and determining whether or not Shadow Lawn Farms LLC is in fact the only abutting landowner. And the best we can tell, it is not the only abutting landowner. The state of Alabama owns land on both sides of this road. And it appears from the best map that we can put together that another landowner borders this road also. So the best that I can tell today, without an actual survey of the road, that Shadow Lawn is not the only abutting landowner. So they don't have the right on their own to ask the commission to vacate this road. They can ask the commission to vacate the road that's on their land. But best we can tell, the best I can tell from reviewing the maps that are available to me, they are not the only abutting landowner. Now, if that is a fact, then the commission can institute the process if the commission chooses to try to vacate the road. And to do that, we would have to give notice to all abutting landowners and hold a public hearing. You have to hold a public hearing no matter which way you go. So my recommendation to the commission, you didn't ask for my recommendation, but my recommendation is that we go back to Shadow Lawn Farms and get them to provide us a better description of this property so we can determine whether or not the adjoining landowner abuts the road. That is not Shadow Lawn Farms, but I think their name is Garrett. Whether or not they also abut the land. And if they don't join in the petition, then I don't think you can proceed with the petition as it is. And it may require that Shadow Lawn Farms actually surveys the property, surveys this road so we can know exactly where it is and who the abutting landowners are. But as we sit here today, I don't think the petition is appropriate.
Would that have to include their consideration of state?
Yes, sir. The state is an abutting landowner. In fact, the road goes through the state lands before it gets to Shadow Lawn Farms LLC land.
Any question?
The confusion that I have on this is that this easement begins at the end of County Road 75 at Grace Chapel. And so they're just confused as to where their property starts or
Well,
It's quite a ways from Grace Chapel.
this is confusing, so you're not alone in your confusion.
So I mean, I'm fine with kicking it back to them.
Yeah, the county road, the named county road, County Road 175, the paved portion stops. And we're in this situation because the landowners on the previous occasion granted to the county a public easement through their property. The county's never maintained it, but it's been a public road. So, again, my recommendation is we go back to Shadow Lawn Farms and get them to clarify where their property is and where this road exists.
There is a House bill, Senate Bill 176, I think. And it pertains to, motorized vehicles crossing navigable waterways. And I don't know if they've voted on that or not yet, but that could come to place in this situation.
It could, because the road past the end of a paved county road does cross the creek. So there are a number of issues that would be confusing.
This is a road that goes down there where people ride, right? It goes to Alabama state land and Tennessee state
Yes,
land.
sir. It does.
And then connects with Bull Run and Kings Springs.
Yep.
That's correct.
A lot of complaints about the activities of those folks that are riding up and down the roads. Disturbing landowners through the night. Trespassing on property, and other things, and that's the basis of this. We've had several landowners, that have contacted us complaining. John, let me ask, if we go back with a letter, and you put together a letter going back in response to this, if they, I would ask if they come back with information, it would be their responsibility, if there are other abutting landowners, that they would have to get those landowners in agreement to come back to us for vacation before we take any action.
Yes, sir. In fact, that would be my request to them, is to either prove to us that they are the only abutting landowner, or to get the other abutting landowners to join with them in this petition. And if they do that, then we can proceed on with it.
If no action requires us, we'll sign. Thank you, sir. Next area is in public works. We have several items that I want to discuss. We're in the process of renovating the 205 Liberty Lane. There's the Jackson County Courthouse Annex. The parking lot there will need to be paved, repaved, and in considering that, we've also many of us believe that given the number of parking spaces there, it would be prudent for us to add an employee parking lot. So I've asked Mr. Campbell to take a look at that. And so Jonathan, can I turn this over to you for discussion?
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Passed out prior to the meeting, there was a rather long sheet of paper that will serve as our map for this discussion. And then attached to that were a couple of estimates that I'll get into toward the end if I may. So just to get this oriented, the parking lot lies north of the courthouse annex, and as the chairman mentioned, we were asked to take a look at the existing parking lot with the assumption that there were items within that parking lot that would not be addressed during the renovation of the building, and then the concerns for additional parking or possibilities for additional parking as it would relate to the site and where that may rest and what that may look like. And obviously the cost for all of the above. So our approach to this was a few things. One was utilization of the existing lot to maximize efficiency with parking and space, And also to provide some estimation for what we would expect would be resurfacing costs for that parking lot. And if our annual bids that we have in place could be utilized to perform that work. So these items obviously are very similar to road work, although the bidders are not always agreeable to performing work outside of roadway scopes. So we wanted to make sure that was the case also. And the in-place items, or in-place asphalt items do include things like excavation, curb and gutter. It's an item, for example, that's not included. But obviously the asphalt items, base items, unclassified excavation, all those things could potentially apply here. So just starting with the drawing, the entrance is changing. So the overlay of the image will change to the actual red drawing, and I'm starting from left, working right, basically. If we look at the Liberty Lane entrance, our recommendation would be a one-way flow of traffic and essentially one-way parking arrangement. You'll notice working from left to right that the parking spaces, the image that's overlaid with the drawing show the existing in white and the proposed would be in red. So all of those spaces slant. The fire lane in front of the building would reduce down in size. The handicap parking that's shown here would be ADA compliant. And then it would be a circular flow in the parking lot and leaving the entrance on Freedom Lane two-way. So entry could be on Liberty or Freedom, but the out would be encouraged on Freedom, which would then flow to the intersection and traffic would release that way. On the southeast corner of this lot, you'll see a drawing of proposed employee parking. That, in our opinion, is the best place to do additional parking, with the west side of the building being consumed with underground utilities and utility structures that are in the way. The traffic, the employee parking traffic, there is no circular flow, obviously, so that would be a pull-in park, back out lead scenario, assuming the fact that that's going to be much less flow throughout the day versus the circular is shown on the other. And utilizing what space is there, that's why that configuration is the way it is and proposed. Now, not shown on this and not included, and I'll explain why. Sidewalk, concrete work, we have no provisions in our annual bids for that, but that would be a consideration in this as it pertains to the employee parking and necessary changes for the existing sidewalk to accommodate ADA compliance. So we'd be happy to give an opinion on some suggestions on that, but we don't have any bid items that would allow for that. And as far as striping the parking lot, we do have a roadway striping contractor annual bid, but they perform roadway work. So we have no provisions for performing parking lot striping. So they don't have parking lot machine to stripe it. So that would be an additional outsourced project as well. I could stop there on the scope before I get into the numbers and costs, and I want to answer any questions you may have about any of that.
One of the things you were trying to consider is how to increase the number of parking spaces in the front of the building. Do you, right now, the way it is striped is about 125 parking spaces. What do you think this gets you?
We could pick up a few. So there are a couple things that we looked at different aisles and different configuration of parking. One of the main challenges is the way the parking lot's divided now. There's an entire row of overhead lighting. So what could potentially become an aisle for traffic, that's essentially impossible. A few spaces can be gained by condensing the fire lane and shifting some of that in like shown. And then additionally, the island. So on the west side of the parking lot, the island that's in the radius, that's already disturbed now. So you'll notice that this drawing encroaches on that island as is. That can be extended out for a couple of spaces. So to answer your question, I think you can gain a few spaces, but not many.
The radius there, we're gonna leave that closed, correct? Right there, the intersection of.
Yes. In fact, the design right now of the under contract is to close that off and make that a grass area. So there's no confusion with folks thinking. When we went to the city engineer, they were very concerned about that remaining open as an exit there because of congestion, not having to look over your shoulder and have worried traffic hazard.
I mean, if we don't have the 24 plus handicap employee parking there, I mean, we're only gonna have 100-ish parking places. I mean, I think that we pretty much need that.
Yeah, we sort of taken a look at this out there, got concerned that we're gonna have about 50 employees in the building. If all of them are driving, 50, take up 50 parking spaces. Space parking lot. And there is no overflow area. We looked at that when we were there. We're gonna be limited as it stands right now. Parking will be at this building.
And the flooding comes pretty close to there, floodplain. I mean, we can't extend that on down, okay?
Yeah, so the parking lot would drain to the south. The existing, there's a small branch, looks like that drainage way feeds. And then this does not include any clearing grubbing. So actually the canopy overlay that's in that image is a little far north, in my opinion. It's our parking lot would actually not be tree covered in that south section. So the end would come to the approximate drip line of the existing tree line. The scope does not include any clearing and grubbing or tree removal or anything like that.
So what is not included in here is if you've been out to Liberty Lane and looked at the sidewalk there. Tell me if I'm wrong, Jonathan, but we don't think that sidewalk really ADA.
So at the fire lane section in front of the building, there's a section that's on grade with the asphalt of the parking lot. I think that section's probably fine. In fact, one possible consideration would be to extend that, take out the elevated sections of the sidewalk and extend that on grade to beyond the handicap parking that's drawn, and then taper back up. If the goal is to utilize as much existing sidewalk as you can. So that could actually, those sections could come out and they could go down to grade. And then it could taper back up to the elevated parts of the sidewalk that are away from the entrance and away from the ADA parking. I think that's a consideration. There still have to be connections made at the employee park. So with our estimation in this work, we were basing this on the finished grade elevation being essentially just below the sidewalk, the existing sidewalk elevation on that side. So there would have to be sidewalk connections out to those blue islands, but the islands could be made, just with striping. So looking at a couple connections there, and then probably some remove and replace in the middle. And then I think from a minimal approach, that would probably be all that's required. I think a consideration to extending it to the east side of the building, where you'll notice that island extends on out. So that sidewalk could extend there just for regular pedestrian, to encourage pedestrian traffic, not necessarily ADA.
And so that you know, there are two entrances on the east side on both wings there. There are doors for entrances for card readers to enter the building. So I want to make sure I'm clear. Right now, we do not think that our annual bid will cover the paving of the parking lot, the existing parking lot.
Yeah, so these estimates, and I'll take the first one is titled existing parking lot at the top. So this is based on annual bid item costs that we have. And we have some concurrence from that contractor that they are willing to perform the work based on the annual bid process. That would apply to resurfacing the existing parking lot, this first estimate. The second estimate, which is Liberty Lane parking, but on the length, it'll be a 150 by 60, which are the approximate dimensions of the additional parking. These are also annual bid items that the contractor would agree to perform based on the annual bid price for building and paving the new parking lot. What the scope does not include and what we do not have provisions for are striping and any concrete sidewalk work.
Sidewalk work.
I think it could be very much. Yes, sir.
You're talking probably, what's your linear footage in the front, that fire lane?
I'm not certain of dimensions. It's not much more than 50, 60 feet.
Will be less than 80 foot.
So the fire lane's good though, right? Just the part of the handicap in front of them.
There's a center section that's on grade. So as the sidewalk extends out away on each side from the fire lane, it starts to transition back up. That on grade section would need to extend through those ADA parking spaces. And then a possible extension on the east, and then two small connections on the east side where you see the blue islands.
We're in a position with this, I believe that, we're gonna need to repave that existing parking lot. We certainly need employee parking lot to add additional parking spaces, and we would need I also think we talked about a card reader gate there that employees do with these, that's the way to get in. And so if we can use the annual bid to do this, so can we get you to check further with that and make sure that we're okay with that and they have the time schedule to do this? That's my next question, is schedule. Right now, the contractor believes that they could be done with the P&C contract work sometime in late June, early July. That then requires JMR to go through and do a punch list on the building. And there are other requirements that they have to, for state code, they have to check and test. And then it would be a requirement to work off a punch list before they would turn the building over for a building occupancy date to us. I believe that we are looking at right now sometime, not wanting to give a date yet, using the term most often as late summer. That could be sometime in August for us to be able to move in and start work there. Question then, are we able to do this work considering that timeline of availability?
Okay, I'll put that before.
Okay. Sidewalk and striping. That sounds like that is not annual bid, so we would have to go out for bid of sidewalk and striping.
I would assume so.
depending on the amount.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be at a threshold for either to require that. This could just be something that is identified as a walkthrough with someone for the scope and then some pricing to come before the commission. Much smaller in scope.
Work that through your organization. There is an option of modifying our contract with the PNC. We do have a contractor that is working on this, has that capability.
I would suggest someone with commercial connections. It's, you know, more commercial in nature than road work. So if those folks know people that performance work that could get you some good
I'm
pricing.
talking about striping and sidewalk.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So would be an option for us to look at modifying our contract with PNC to do that work. One of their requirements, by the way, was to look at that sidewalk in our parking lot to make sure we were ADA compliant with the sidewalk. They determined it was, but what they were going to do is this large area in front of the building is going to be that area that folks who are parking in handicapped spaces would use to come into the building.
Right.
And so I think we need to go back and have a look at that with your assistance, John.
So yes, the answer is you can modify, but you can do a change order, modification of the contract.
And they'll still be giving us a price on the striping and the sidewalk.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'd like you to be a part of that discussion. If you would, we'll bring it back to the commission. Any change orders above our contract price has to come to the commission for approval.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask, Mr. Arnold, do you have any questions?
I was just gonna ask you that, you're saying the east side, are you talking, is that the back of the building? Or that's the left side of the building if you're looking at the front?
If you're looking at the front, it'll be the left side.
So have you considered the back? Cause you know, the county owns all that, even an acre or two back there.
It's not far beyond the back from what I can tell. You're in a drainage way.
Yeah.
And it's all treed and wooded, so,
Just be
I
more.
mean, anything's possible, but it's gonna be a substantial cost for that.
I was just saying too. Talking about 50 employees, but you gotta think we got county vehicles too. I mean, there'll be 6, 7, 8. I don't know how many county vehicles out there. But
We'll need to look at number of vehicles we think we need.
even at that, we're still gonna have way more parking than we have here now. currently.
I understand.
What I would recommend from a parking standpoint, I don't have a lot of experience on planning that or engineering that by any means, but just as a related item, when we look at traffic flow, it's all about peak hour. So if there's a way in your information, if you could establish an average visit time, and then you identify that peak hour of visits, and then typically you just plan for that, with traffic. So I'm assuming that's relatable to parking. If, she shouldn't have every visitor all the time or plan that way, in my opinion. It's just your peak times.
So we collect data here, of people who are coming through security that tells us by hour
Wait,
how
our
many
software
people are
tells us.
coming in. I'm sorry.
Our software, I can run that report and tell you the majority of our, most of them come at 2:30 after they leave solid waste.
Thank you for that comment. Okay, good deal. So we'll continue to work this and we will talk with our contractor about this. Any other recommendations though before we close this discussion?
Just have to keep in mind, a lot of the people visiting here are going at their courtroom.
There are days that we have nearly 1,300 people come through the counter.
No, I'm talking about, I can tell you with our software, who comes to the tag office, who comes to the real estate office, who goes to the probate office, we can tell that.
Okay. Thank you for taking a look at this. I know we gave you short notice. Really appreciate your work.
Yes, sir.
Next item that we have for discussion is an update on safe streets and roads. You've been in conversation with them, trying to work agreement, just, what do you want?
Yes, thank you. I know you're all wondering, as we are, the progression of this and administration changes and how those could potentially affect this. And so I can tell you what they tell us. And I can also tell you that there's nothing definitive right now that they know or that they told us. But I printed the email just so I didn't misspeak on this. And our last correspondence was April 10th with our Federal Highway Administration Competitive Grants Program Manager. And his words were that our agreement has been reviewed by the program office and updated to the new template. The new template was a change with administrative changes. So when the administrative change, the template change that we had had multiple iterations on. I believe at the last update when I was asked, I explained that we were working through the template, which will eventually be the agreement that's put before you. But it's obviously put before them first. So when I say template, it's ultimately going to be the agreement. He goes on to say he's waiting for an acquisition officer to be assigned for the review. There is a backlog of agreements and shortage of reviewers. So the reviewer that we were working with, that he was working with, we were working with him and he's working with, that reviewer was dismissed with this administration. So there is a new reviewer. He's talking about the backlog of agreements and shortage of reviewers. So he says he's not sure how long this will take. So in a prior conversation, we were asking him about timeline for the sake of funding as far as where we are now with cash balance and on the horizon, his forecast on when we should be ready with funding and could we potentially spend money in advance that is obligated for this. He did say that he doesn't know, but he thinks the earliest would be July, but that may be optimistic. So I don't know that July is reasonable, but I don't know what else to say except what he said. But maybe it's changing the fiscal year or starting the new calendar year coming up. So hopefully in months instead of years.
So given that we have this year, Rebuild Alabama funds, and we have federal exchange funds that we had considered to be used for our matching for this fund. If we go through even late into the fourth quarter of this year, it seems to me we're going to have some of those funds not obligated this year. And so the question I would have, if that's the case, or make an estimate of how much of that we would need and what for safe streets and roads. And then how do we then utilize the rest of it and apply it to our local roads program? Just take a look at that and bring back a recommendation on how we use this year's Rebuild Alabama funds and federal exchange. Okay. All right. Any further questions on that? Okay. That was the last item on our work session. Move now to reports from the staff, county administrator, anything? Okay, county, you follow-up discussion?
I was just going to do an update on County Road 145 rehab project that completed, but I can wait till after the comments.
Let's go ahead.
I'll go quickly because I know that we touched on at least a few stages of this. This project was substantially complete around October, but we were waiting on paving those approaches before we presented on the completion of the project. And that has occurred, as you'll see in this. What you're looking at is essentially the before photo. The rehabilitative efforts started, and you can see where the pavement has been disturbed on both approaches of this bridge. It was high water that stopped it. and then some discovery of the piling from that excavation. This has been years back. So it was basically just filled back in, the road patched, and a 3-ton posting has been there since. So as you're aware, this was state grant funding, at least partially supported, mostly supported by state for the rehabilitation of this bridge and 2 others. So we're thankful for their participation. And one reason perhaps is they're ultimately the overseer of the bridge inspection program. So we're under federal compliance, but we're under ALDOT supervision or administration to some degree over the program. We're following to them. And then we're responsible for the inspection and condition of the bridges that are county responsibility. It looked pretty good from the top side, in my opinion. On the bottom side here, you can see from superstructure up, it's in fairly good shape. Matter of fact, the precast channels of the bridge's superstructure, they're in really good shape. The precast caps that you see the bridge resting on, those are in good shape. The piling and back walls, however, are a different story. So you can see deterioration in the timber back walls, and that was a construction practice at the time, that it was creosote 3-inch timbers that were placed and utilized for back wall, and steel piling are the bridge's foundation. The timber structure is the first generation bridge. That was a timber 1-lane, single lane bridge, and the second generation is what we're looking at. And these are the issues. So in the splash zone, you're looking here on a reduced water level, right behind that timber pile, you can see the steel piling and the deterioration in the piling, the delamination and the webs, and there's deterioration in the flanges. And this is measured by section law. So if a bridge is designed to carry all legal loads as a standard of the time, then the piling in its size of design is considered to carry that portion. As the section of that structure reduces, then in bridge rating, there's an algorithm that backs into a corresponding load reduction. So once we get past a certain point of degradation, then it just gets to a situation like this bridge where it's a 3-ton posting. So a school bus can't cross that. A car, I mean, basically can't cross that. So it's effectively closed by posting. Just another look at the piling. What's the issue? And with the superstructure being good, with the caps, precast caps being good, the piling and back wall being bad, it makes it a prime candidate for rehabilitation. So comparatively to reconstruction, probably looking at over double the cost, but rehabilitation really starts to make sense if the expensive components of the bridge are in good shape like this. So you can see where they're taking care on removal. So all of these pieces have to be separated and basically broken apart to allow for the rigging. And they have to be carefully handled, or the weight of these structures will literally, they'll self-implode or break on their own weight if it's improperly handled or rigged. So they've made I'll just mention also that this is near max capacity for this crane, without it being very close to it. So they've made a laydown area to simulate the way that the components are to rest on the bridge, so that they're carefully handled and will have a good place to rest while the reconstruction effort's going. So that's what they're doing there, is care and disassembly and setting to the side for the rehabilitation work. 2 components off, you can start to see exposing the bad parts of the bridge now comparative to the good. Everything's taken apart, the superstructure set to the side, excavation has begun to isolate the vents for the rehabilitation work that's to come. The creek has been isolated to the conduit there, a really large culvert that's put in place to isolate the water where they can section off where they'll make the area to be dewatered for the pits for the piling rehabilitation. That's what's taking place here. Just another shot. Dewatering is taking place. They're working on constructing what's called the mud flat. And that's just a nice little area below, well below into the soil, well below the splash zone. So that piling encasement can then take place above that. So what they're trying to establish there is firm underfoot, nice level area, start their encasement work for those piling. And this is several phases advanced, obviously. Pipe's been removed, the stream has been diverted, care is taken for clean water in, clean water out. You can see the form work on the right side of the photo, essentially what leads to the result on the left side of the photo. So there's not a lot of kickers, you'll notice. That's snap ties that they're utilizing. So it's form board, studs, wales, and snap ties for that concrete work and the uniform wall. Just another shot of the same. You're looking at basically the back wall encasement and then a new wing, and the same thing exists to do in the background of that photo. You can see the wing pile that are exposed and the encasement work taking place for that abutment. The precast caps that I mentioned, you can obviously tell the age difference by appearance. Those were structurally fine, but they do represent with a different color based on their age. They were elected to be preserved because they are, like the superstructure, still okay. The wings are there in place on the one that's just out of picture, and you can see that the formwork will need to take place, and the steel to do that with is extended out of that pour. So that was left out for a tie-in, and they'll come back and form up that wing in a later closure pour. That's an example of getting on down now to kind of the short rows of that work, encasement and the wings. This will be the second wing that pours, and it'll look like the one in the background. And the other two will be left off until the super is in place. That's a shot of the snap ties inside the formwork. So it reduces your footprint ability and reduces the need for a lot of kickers and other support members. That's just a photo of those pours done and wrecked. And there'll be an additional closure pour on the wings on the right. There'll be a full wing pour on the one in the background. And then left to pour will be the wing on the left side. But all the encasement is essentially done of the piling at this point, with the caps protruding out of that will serve as a beam pedestal. This is a photo of that work essentially complete, and they're preparing for the superstructure to go back on the bridge. I'll just note a couple of things in this. You can essentially see now that the caps, well, they do not have the old appearance, and they've been rubbed along with the other concrete. So once those forms are wrecked, it leaves the snap tie holes. And you can see in the foreground of this picture where all those have been patched, but not rubbed. You can see the top part of that wing where it's exposed, how that's been finished and rubbed. And then all the appearance of the bent in the background, all of that's rubbed now for uniform appearance. Superstructure is going back into place. Elastomeric bearing pads, which obviously the old structure didn't have. And then the fill is coming up, which will allow them to work from that level, but it's not obviously to finish grade. They're taking care to make sure the cap's clean and these pieces go together exactly, because you can maybe make out their intermediate fastening locations throughout those beams. So they have to line up exactly right to be able to hold together. The end in the foreground pins and the end in the background, that vent remains free for expansion. Another shot of the same. You can see the remaining pours that are saved for later till the superstructure can be together and then close. And there's the superstructure all together at that point. And you can see the channels, which will be a pour by hand item after the bridge is complete. The channels where they join, that's a grout key that requires hand pouring. And then obviously the superstructure shows its age compared to the newly finished concrete abutments. And they clean and working here to clean and descale that. You can see some guardrail components coming on. All of the scour erosion has been remedied, and scour protection is placed against all of the abutment encasement work. And that's essentially the structure all complete except the roadway items, and it's starting, after the cleaning, it's starting to patina uniformly, more uniform. That's just a shot of the string functioning, so everything's restored there. We have a roadside ditch that carries a lot of water and feeds into that. And this has been some months after that's been performed in high water, so the scour protection is working nicely. And that's a roadway shot of the completed bridge. And the paving items remain at this stage. So there's a transition from the bridge deck at 22 feet versus the roadway at 18 feet. And this is in a curve. So that was laid out accordingly for paving. And I will mention, probably not the best first paving outing with new equipment, but it was the only remaining item of work. So they started the bridge, pulling out, and these are county folks like all the other work. This is the recent approval and purchase of the paving machine. You guys were generous to provide for us, and that's what's paving the approaches and roadway out there. So just some shots of that. And then that's the completed from the south end, and then that's the completed project altogether was paved, and that's pretty close to present day. So the roadway's back, good shoulders on the approaches, good bridge components, and we're calling that done. So I just want to recognize all the hard work they do. When they do this stuff, they want to do it right, and they want it to look good. And these big projects like this, they work safely, and they're even pretty good to each other during all of it. So I'm just very proud of that. I know you all are. And I just want to recognize that. So thank you for allowing me to show that.
We'll follow by asking the asphalt paver, moving forward with that. And strip paving with it. This was I think you'd had your training before this, and how did that work out and ready to move forward?
Yeah, so we got the intro honestly when it was delivered, paved with base material in the yard. This was the first paving operation. So we have 32 next scheduled paving. So that'll be coming up soon. We want to pave 32 and complete that project. And then I'll be happy to present that. But what's taking that is those guys that are working on 220 for the cross drains. That's the same guys you saw in the photos doing the paving. So 32 is next, and then hopefully we'll know how to pave soon.
Okay, so after 32, can we get to strip paving?
I think so.
Okay. And do you have your list of roads candidates for strip paving?
I will be reaching out. You all have identified strip paving that you're interested in. I think we will need to look at lengths now that the material price changed some. So I'll be reaching out to revisit priorities with you and make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to on that.
Okay. Any questions?
93. Are we progressing on 93?
So the upper section has been reconstructed essentially. The road profile has been reconstructed. There was one remaining drainage structure that was being installed today. A final proof rolling is scheduled for tomorrow. And then there's a reinforced sole section. It's about 12 inches thick. That's scheduled to start after that. So all of that is ahead of the grouted columns. But to answer your question, all that upper section where the work's taking place.
Okay. Anything else? Jonathan, thanks.
Thank you.
I was out there watching your guys do the work on 145. Great job.
One last question for me. Do you know when contract forces will be moving in on the like 475 and 98?
They're in your district right now on Janelle Street and Iris Lane. So the numbers for prioritization that we had given you guys, I believe the next one in your district was 98. And then after that was 133.
four seventy-five, we did 98 and 475 on that little section together to get that mile.
So after Iris, 133 is number 5, 98 is number 6. That order.
Okay. Next, county attorney. Sheriff, anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you back, anything else, guys? All right, thank you. With that, comments from the commission, District 4, Commissioner McBride.
Say great job to Johnson and all the employees throughout the county. The hard work and effort is not in those. We appreciate everything they do. Hopefully we'll get something resolved with 175. Like I say, thank you guys for coming out and revisiting concerns and get someone up there. Perfect. With that. But then I'll say, y'all be safe and keep everyone in your prayers, the country and our county.
Okay. District 3, Commissioner Burton. Okay, District 2, Commissioner Queen.
I was at the county department a lot, I think it was yesterday. Hopefully the weeds are gonna be a better situation this year. Didn't see any, they had it cleaned out pretty well. Hopefully they will grow back like they did last. So we'll give that update.
District, Mr. Gold.
Nothing to add tonight.
Real quick, had a meeting with TBA today, just to answer your question. They expect to have harvesters starting work either the last week of April or early May, so they're trying to get ahead of it this year. They will start spraying probably in the June timeframe to help us with that. They have invested in a smaller harvester as well, so that they can get into public areas like our docks at County Park and get close in to harvest there. So that was the information we got today. The state of the county, President is scheduled for Wednesday morning at 7:30. It will be at the Scottsboro Civic Center. So everybody's invited, and breakfast is free. Thanks to our sponsors for helping us make that happen. Our next meeting date is April the 29th, 2025. That is not a Monday. It is scheduled for that day due to the holiday the day before. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Well, they need to go online and register for that, so county. They need to go online and register.
Yes, and by the way, there is, if you go into the chamber, they do have the advertisement, and you can go online and register. They need to know just in case they have the head count for the breakfast. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make that motion.
We have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Say all in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Thank you.